like, there's so many legal ways a 12, 13, 14-year-old today can work and earn an income. And we don't talk about that.
We don't. And I do have
because we're not teaching them that.
No, we're not. And it's not enough financial literacy teachers.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like financial people should be in the education system.
Yeah.
We will. Oh my God, the education system will change fast. Everybody, because you will know what to do. You'll know how to live and know how to use your money.
What do you feel like is more important, budgeting or investing?
Good question.
Because I hear what Dave Ramsey said. We grew up on his curriculum, and it was all about saving.
Yeah.
But he didn't really talk about investing a lot.
Well, I mean, I think what needs to be taught is how to earn a living by entering rooms and adding value and solving problems in those rooms. I think that's what needs to be taught. And then you need to budget, save, and invest all at the same time, right? So people, what happens, I think, in our country is that the greatest marketers become the loudest voice and have the greatest influence. But it's actually just great marketing.
Yes.
It's not necessarily, look at McDonald's. I love McDonald's. Some of my fondest childhood memories, because when you don't grow up with a lot of money, it's McDonald's.
It's McDonald's,
right?
for sure.
Good morning, America. Come join us for breakfast.
You're the one. We're fixing breakfast for you. You're the one.
At McDonald's, we're fixing a hot, delicious breakfast just for you. Fresh scrambled eggs, hot cakes and sausage, our own Egg McMuffin, lots of Danish pastries. Try 'em.
At McDonald's.
We do it all for you.
They were great at marketing and promoting that this is a happy place where you can feed your children and let them play, and families come here and continue to foster community and think about that too. Like the act of breaking bread together is one of the greatest acts of human bonding on the planet.
I never thought about that. You talking about in the scriptures?
Just eating, just breaking bread together, just having a meal together. At our firm, I always say, like, teams that eat together, they stay together. And if we could have all the best business meetings all day long and be adding a ton of value around people's financial security, stability, and success on a daily basis. But at the end of the day, if we're not actually taking a second to break bread together, to have coffee together, to have breakfast, lunch, to get our families together on the weekend, we're just going to go off to the next place where we find more attraction and sort of stickiness. And so I think they're just really simple things. I'm old. I'm way older than you guys, which is why I was really excited about this. But so let me give you a living example. So this past weekend, I took a friend of mine that you've had on the podcast before, Meech, Demetrius Harmon.
Yes.
Okay. And so we became fast friends, I'd say maybe 3 to 4 years ago. And one of the things that he talked about as he was leaving my home after the game this week and went to the Pistons game, just so painful to watch the loss.
I was at that game too.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, the Magic. Yeah, I was at that game.
Yeah, we're at the Magic game.
Yeah, I was there.
And so we get back to my house, and he had driven to my house. So we're in my house, and we're just talking. We're just kind of wrapping up for the night or whatever. And he says to me, he's like, the fact that you have me in your home, the fact that we eat together, he's like, that's why I love you. And I was like, what a simple but yet such a profound comment. And we have all these business people out there saying, like, oh, you got to keep your life private, and you got to do this privately, and you got to do this privately.
That'd be me sometimes. I ain't gonna lie.
I get that. Like, I feel that because I don't want people all up in my business. But what I realize is that most people actually just don't even want to see me win. And it's not because they dislike me. It's just because of whatever big or little traumas they're still carrying and whatever suffering they have in that moment. They don't dislike me. It's just, sadly, it's like what humanity's become, is that we're not really cheering each other on.
Competing.
And so we miss those moments. We miss the moments to break bread together. We miss the moment to, you teach this incredible lesson on how to wholesale the business, and you got those 2 to 3 shining stars in your class, and you might miss the moment to say, hey, you remember what we talked about last week? Hey, what have you been thinking about since then? Right? Like following up, the repetition of saying, hey, I'm still thinking about you about that, right? Or, hey, I want to get back together. I want to break bread together. Or instead of the coldness of, hey, I'll meet you at the game, it's saying, hey, man, why don't you come to the house? We'll grab a soda before we leave and a snack, and then we'll head down to the game together. Now, how different of an experience is that with someone in your life?
It's a big experience. It's like it just elevated the whole night.
Yeah.
Well, right.
It elevated the whole night. Like now it's more security, all type of stuff. Like you just elevated the whole night.
Do you watch Andy Elliott?
Oh, I love it.
Man, I'm like, it sound just like Andy.
I just gotta.
You watch Myron Golden?
I ain't taking my
You
shirt off.
just like Andy, like
fool.
how just a simple word change, or just a simple way of communication, or just a gesture can change the whole dynamic of everything.
The whole vibe, the vibe, the trajectory. My coach talks about, time, energy, and space. And do I wear these?
No, you can. I normally do just because I'm the audio engineer, so I like to.
I probably will pass. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. But I struggled for decades with thinking I needed to have an answer or I needed to respond to everything. So I struggled. I just wanted it so hard to prove myself, validate myself, get people to say, oh man, this guy's got a lot of great ideas. This guy's got a lot of grind. This guy's got a lot of value, right? So I was like, I thought I had to do all that with my mouth.
I'm in there. Yeah.
And it's like, well, when you're talking, you can't really think.
Nope.
It's hard to think if you're just talking the whole time.
I learned when you talk, you already got it done.
Well, yeah, right.
Because you just talked it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the 75 hard challenge. I feel like I did it because I said it. So I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm rambling. Sorry about that.
No, I love it. Actually, the listeners say they like when we start out the episodes like this. They like to see the B-roll behind the scenes or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's good for everybody. But yeah, we can get started. Yes, indeed, powerful people. This is another episode of Breaking the Machine. I'm your host, Ahmad the Poet, alongside my partner, Spank the Bank.
What up, though?
And today we'll be taking another incremental step in shifting the culture. Today we have a very, very, very special guest, very special episode for you guys. We have a philanthropist, entrepreneur, wealth manager, CEO of Mass Mutual Great Lakes, founder of the Podium Group, and host of At the Podium. Man, we have the good brother Manuel Amezcua on the show with us today.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
we got a wealth and spiritual episode today coming, baby. Yes, sir.
How you doing today,
sir?
I'm good, brother.
That's good.
It's a privilege, man. You know that. I've said that to you a few times. So
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
We honored to have you on for a few moments as well. I wanted to jump into it because when I was researching you and doing my research, because I like to research all my guests, do a really deep dive. And on your website, the company website, when it describes you, the first thing it describes you as is a dreamer. And I found that interesting. Before the entrepreneur, before the philanthropist, it describes you as a dreamer. What's important to you about being a dreamer? What about that stands out to you?
Well, first of all, great question. Thank you. I'm not surprised that you did a ton of research because I've followed you for a little bit now, and I enjoy listening to the conversations, the types of conversations that you're unpacking, the topics, the people, the stories. I would say to you, this idea and relationship that I have with dreaming, it goes all the way back to my childhood and just being born to 2 immigrant parents, but having had a childhood that was extremely abundant in a number of different things. One of the greatest gifts that our environment gave us was this encouragement to continue dreaming. And so when I was very little, grew up in a very small house in Hammond, Indiana, 4340 Torrance. Shout out to all my Torrance hitmen. And what I will say is that we sat on that stoop having conversations about what we wanted to become when we were older. And I always said that I was either going to become Batman Mike Singletary from the Chicago Bears. I was going to be the Mike Singletary 2.0, the Mexican version of him. Or number 3, I was going to become successful in business, a man of success and of value who solves problems and helps to improve the lives of others. And the encouragement that I've had since I was very little to dream, that then continued over the last 20 plus years with my beautiful wife Samantha and these 2 incredible children that we have, Ava and Atlas, today. It's, we're just obsessed about encouraging people to pursue whatever the vision is that they have for their life. And sadly, and I'm sure the 2 of you have your own dozens, if not hundreds of stories and examples. Sadly, eventually, as we get older, we're no longer encouraged to dream. You're little and you're celebrated for just taking your first step. It takes 10,000 attempts as a small child to take the first step finally. And you're celebrated for that, right? Your parents never said, oh, you silly 1-year-old, you can't even walk and you can't even walk and put you down. Then you get into high school though, and now it's like, are you going to college? Are you going to work? What's your next step, right? The pressure begins on deciding and committing to a path that at that age, at 15, 16, my children are 15 and 14 and they're talking about college. Are you really ready to decide on college and to decide what you'll study in college at that time? But that's what high schools are pushing, right? And then you get to college and your professors are like, well, how are you going to get a job? You better have an internship.
Yeah.
And you better pick something. And you gotta pick an industry, right, to try to get an internship in. And you got to figure out who are all the people you know, because business is as much about who you know than what you know.
Right.
And so who are all the people that you know that you can reach out to? And again, you're pressured to say, get an internship, because if you don't get an internship, you won't get a job.
And you won't graduate.
And then you get out of college and it's like, Mama and Papa might say, hey, man, you can't move back home.
Man.
I did my job. You got to go out there into the world now and do your job, right? Or, hey, come home and you got to pay rent, but you got to have a job. And so now you have a job. And then when you're in that job, you better hope and pray that you have a mentor or an advocate or someone that you report into on a daily basis that sees the potential in you. Because otherwise, you're just going to be head down doing that job. What does everybody say in a performance review today? Oh, man, just keep your head down, keep working. Eventually, you'll get noticed. Eventually, you'll get the promotion. Eventually, you'll get the merit increase. That's terrible.
Man.
Terrible leadership. That is terrible leadership. Just keep your head down and keep working hard.
Yeah, you don't get nowhere.
So we can get depressed, stressed, anxious, have problems in our home, in our relationship with ourselves, with our spouse, with our children, with our friends. Have a problem with our faith, because now I got to work, I got to study, I got to get better at work, so we're skipping church on Sunday. That is not an environment of encouraging dreaming. And if we really think about it, in the history of this incredible country, all of the most significant achievements and accomplishments going back to anyone, Christopher Columbus, President Abraham Lincoln, the greatest president in American history, Elon Musk today, no matter how you feel about him,
Jeff Bezos.
those are dreams that have come to life because of their savage obsession and relentless pursuit of what they had in their mind and their heart that was possible. And so if we're not dreaming, then we're just doing. And if we're just doing, then what is that? What is that?
I have a question. Do you think it's important for men to get married to be wealthy and successful? To become like that?
Spank?
Yeah.
I curse. I hope you don't ask me hard questions. I might let one fly. But wow. No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Do I believe that it could be the most incredible gift that could happen to a man? Yes. Yes, I do. I genuinely do. And I've had a very blessed and privileged life, and I'll say that. But do I think that all men must do that, or do that by a certain age or in a certain way? No. I think... and it's not about getting religious, but it's about being authentic. In my best moments, I was putting God first. In my worst moments, I was not putting God first. And so I'm not saying what men should do, but finding a faith and a belief in something greater than the short time we get on this earth, I think is a very powerful place of inspiration.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
And that's definitely a common notion, especially out here. A lot of, you got the Manosphere out here. A lot of people talking about, relationships and how it's like a money power base. So that kind of blew my perspective, because a lot of people saying like, we got to stay together. Honestly, it's from like a position to kind of like demean women in a way, like what they need us in order to sustain financial stability. It's not really from a man's standpoint that they speak about it from. Like, men, we need women to maintain financial stability, but it's definitely a narrative out here. So I'm surprised to hear you say it. I was like, dang, like that's definitely. That's
why I asked.
Yeah.
Well, we better put a disclaimer on the front end of this conversation saying that I'm a very narrow-minded and probably unique thinker at times on topics. But I'll tell you, like,
I think it's true though. It's definitely true.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bible teaches us certain things, and I would never be one to try to contradict something like that I actually believe in, and as failed and broken as I've been in different seasons of my life, I would still have to say that every single human in this world, my experience has been, is they just bring different gifts to the table, and it's about navigating life, I think, with some type of higher belief system about what's out there, not losing integrity with your dreams, and then having clarity on your core values and working really relentlessly to continue to edit people out of your life that don't align with those, so that you can get from this really wide funnel of like, oh, I know 100,000 people in Michigan, right? Through observation, you can continue to edit people out of your life that don't align with your belief system, your dreams and goals, and your core values. And eventually you can narrow that pool down to maybe 100 people. Do you need more than 100 friends in life? You might not need more than 5 friends in life. You might not need more than 3. And if you choose to get married, I would hope that's one of your best friends.
Damn.
Right?
Mic drop.
Well, I am twice your age.
I love talking to older people. I ain't gonna lie. I do though.
I love it.
I love talking to older
I
people.
wanted to ask you ever watched the show HBO show
Oh,
Ballers?
man, come
you
on.
ever watched that?
I love that.
By Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Woo!
Man, it's like when I think about, you working with athletes or you working with different clients, that's kind of what jumped in my mind, that whole show, HBO Ballers. But could you talk about the importance of like learning how to manage and work with different personalities? Because I think that was a big part of the show. Like each client is different. Each client has a different personality. You have to speak to them different. You working with an array of different people, athletes, business people, whatever the case may be. How do you go about managing, how you deal with different people,
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think we were catching up a little bit before we started today, and I was sharing with you that I think when you were talking about the students that you're teaching and serving today, and what a gift it is to encourage them to find a way to add value and solve problems in the rooms that they enter in their life. If you think about that, if we have good etiquette, good manners, and good follow-up, and we are consistently adding value and solving problems in rooms we enter, who is not going to seek your company? Got incredible etiquette, incredible follow-up. If I say I will do it, I honor that commitment to you. And then at the end of the day, as I'm in the room, I'm adding value and solving problems to those around me. Anyone will seek your company.
That's all business strategies.
That's all business, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're teaching that to the young men and women in and around the Detroit area, that's such a gift, right? We've got to empower them more to understand that basic concept, right?
Especially follow-up. That's the biggest one.
Yep.
Just follow up. 90% of sales in the world, no matter what industry you're in, are lost because you did not follow up when you said you would, right? You talked about Andy Elliott earlier.
Yeah.
Again, if Andy ever saw this, he probably won't, but if he did, I will not take my shirt off yet. I am a work in process right now. What I would say, though, is when it comes to serving people, and my point is that it's incredibly important to try to understand what the most important thing is to them. And so in our business of serving as financial advocates to people's priorities, their dreams, and their fears for their life in relationship with their money, it's our most significant priority to get them comfortable enough that they will authentically open up and share on those items. What are the dreams? What are the current priorities? And what are the things that we're afraid could happen along the way? And let's take meticulous inventory of those, because then the software, the calculators, simple math can help us solve the path and the strategy to any of them, right? If you think about, you asked me about saving versus investing, and I'm like, I think it's both. But before either of those, it's how do I become a man that adds value and solves problems in every room he can enter so that he can earn an income? Because that it's the income that I need to obsess about. Earning. Right?
What you called it, Henry's? No,
I got that. That's a question I'm gonna get to.
Yeah.
It's called high. Well, I was at this seminar, and this lady, she's a wealth manager as well. She was saying that in her line of business, they call them Henry's, high earner, not rich yet.
Yeah.
And I had a question I was gonna ask you a little bit later, but I can ask you now. Like, what separates somebody who's just earning a lot, but from somebody who's wealth building? Because you got a lot of people who are earning a lot, like they were saying, high earners, but they're not rich yet. You know, they haven't retained the wealth. Like, what do you see is something that separates those people from people who are building wealth?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. There's a lot of high earners today, but there are not a lot of high earners today with a disciplined strategy and roadmap to get to exactly what's in their mind's eye.
Got you.
Okay. And so that's where, they talk about, whether it's in sports or nutrition, fitness, business, it's not about the destination, man. It's about the journey. It's about the journey, right? So Samantha and I sit Ava and Atlas down every Sunday, and we do this thing called Family Matters. And we take inventory of calendars, school, sports, financials in our family, and travel. And what we're trying to do is demonstrate a discipline to the things that we set are a priority. And all of that happens after we go to church. Okay? So if you think about these Henrys versus people who already or are on the trajectory to true wealth, typically the only thing missing is the discipline. And it's tough to have discipline to something that you don't have a strategic written roadmap for. So I always say, if it's not written, it's not real. If it's not written, it's not real. So we think about how we relate to these people in different industries, whether it's the world of sports and entertainment or fashion, business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs. What is the value we're adding? Well, we're adding a true desire to intimately and intellectually understand their dreams, priorities, and fears. And we're committed to doing work at the level of the highest level of excellence to architect a written roadmap that helps them then say, okay, the only thing that's missing now is me executing on it and the discipline. So all they have to bring to the table is desire and discipline to get to that end destination. But the juice, the squeeze, the glory is in the journey. And I think it takes one other thing. I think it takes celebrating the micro wins along the way to stay committed to getting through the forest, right? Because so many times we're just so obsessed about being head down in the grind.
Yeah.
Dude, that we forget about the glory of the vision we once had and why the purpose for that was greater than any distraction along the way. So sometimes, man, you gotta take your Sunday off and say, man, Sunday's just a day of celebration and rejoicing and rejuvenating myself and celebrating what I achieved last week.
I mean, God do give us a Sabbath, and we don't really take advantage of that, And you guys there.
Do you feel like that's like a 20-year-old mentality? Like, do you feel like
That's
that?
a 40-year-old. I feel like everybody's doing it.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. But do you think that would be useful for somebody who's in their 20s and they're trying to get after it? Or like, what phase would you say you develop those, understandings and those perspectives on work and grinding? Because we can grind all day. We can, burn the midnight oil until it's gone. But you're coming at it from a perspective of understanding your limits, understanding when you have to rejuvenate, recharge your body. Like, when did you develop that mindset, or was it a time where you were just like, it's all about
when
the
did
grind?
you learn to take a break?
That's a great question. I mean, I would tell you if you ask the people closest around me, including Samantha, Ava, or Atlas, I mean, they would tell you that, man, I was so obsessed about this daily relationship with progress and achievement that I was sacrificing who I was along the way. I mean, I was losing myself in the desire to create progress and achieve. And in losing myself, losing healthy habits, you and I talked about a little bit about the fact that I'm back to working out now.
Yep.
Right? Man, I went almost 15 years without any discipline to working out. That sounds terrible, right? I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah, there's a guy that was on the 75 hard challenge. He gained like the whole bunch of weight once he got money. He lost his desire, so he had to go back and really lose all that weight, because when he gained all that money, he gained all that weight too as well. Like,
well,
it's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. And to what we all know about Andy Elliott. I mean, what does he say? Like, how could you possibly be giving your faith, your family, and your business your very best
being fat
when you are sloppy as shit?
Man, listen, I heard that.
How could you say? How could you say I am on the path to my greatest potential if you're not watching what you eat, what you consume on TV, on your phone, what you're drinking? If you're, how could you say that? You can't say that. Well, you could say it, but for the people who are actually doing it, who believes it?
Damn.
And it's not that you need someone else's validation, but I mean, what do you want for yourself? And I think, you ask, like, well, when did I know, or when did I start or stop or get better at it? I would tell you that it's been less than 6 months of me really going through a incredibly tough reset of who I am and who I know I am supposed to be on this planet for however much longer I have. And that just happened in the last 6 months. And that was really because I was like, man, what got me here will not get me to where I know I could be. And it's not about where I could be for validation or praise. It's about where I could be in relationship with the body that God gave me and the vessel that I'm supposed to be.
Do you feel like at those times where you were just looking ahead, like months and years of ahead, and not looking at the day?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Spank. I mean, you got it. Nail on the head. Ding, ding, ding. Like, that's it, man. If there's an award, you get it. 100%.
I know.
I was so obsessed about that damn place I thought I was going to. I was sloppy as hell, a foot in front of me with the work I was doing.
Damn.
But as you heal yourself, you healed your mind, your body, your soul. As you heal that, only good things come after that. Right? And so, I really struggled with this concept of victimhood. I was like,
I've been through that.
You feel me on that,
yeah,
right? Like,
that's the biggest accountability I have to face. Being a victim is the worst place you can be in, man. Oh, I did this. You should be I fucking hate that shit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you speak, but damn, I feel it.
No, I'm glad you said that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you feel me. Like, it was a struggle.
Oh my God.
It took a lot for me to finally wake up from that sort of reality that I kept replaying day in and day out without saying, like, man, no, nothing is happening to me.
It's not.
These are things I'm doing to myself.
Mentally.
By the way, I'm setting myself up.
It's bad affirmations.
Yes.
It's like bad affirmations. You just talking yourself in this hole, and it comes with a lot of childhood trauma.
Oh,
just like you say, you come from two immigrants, from Chicago, so we had pretty much the same background, low income, and it's so much that comes with that. Just like going to school, not having the best shoes, just coming from neighborhoods that's
especially
like
growing up in Chicago, that's J Central.
Yeah, so it's just like it's so much that's in your mind as a child, where you were ugly that's messing with you. You know, you're trying to get this body right just to prove that child that was ugly. The girls say you were ugly in school. You know, it's so much you're dealing with, and you're trying to beat it and fight it daily, and then you affect the ones around you, not knowing that. Now you think the ones around you are attacking you. They're your character. Every time they come at you, well, why you ain't see the things I did yesterday or this day, you know, and not really listening to what they are saying. So I've been, oh my God, I'm getting out of it myself. The victim mentality, man, just working on it daily, and forgiving myself. Because a lot of times I'll just sit in it, you know, and just be like, why the fuck I do that? Or, you know, just trying to let go because, you know, forget those things are what's behind. You know, I got to move towards, you know, the mark. So that's really, I'm working on it.
Well, and a thought might be that why would we ever expect grace or forgiveness from others if we don't give it to ourselves?
Man.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're not giving it to ourselves.
I know. And why we can't do that? You know.
When it's over, I mean, are you really going to care about so-and-so down the street? I mean, when it's over, inventory. I do not believe that the inventory of your life, that other people's perception of it will matter when it ends. And so I think that, you know, we have a choice to be a fountain or a drain in life. And if we're not a fountain for ourselves, it's tough to be a fountain for others, you know? So I think we've got to take care of ourselves. It's like that whole analogy of the oxygen mask on the plane, right?
Oh, yeah.
I got to put it on first before I worry about
anybody else.
Yeah, I think it's the same with grace and forgiveness.
I think with me, I'm the oldest of 10. So I think I have, so I have a thing of just looking out for people before myself. I feel like, I don't know why I'm like that. My father was that way. Like my father used to take all of us to go get some shacks, me and my cousins that, you know, that didn't really have fathers. He'd take us all to go get shacks. You know, just that little thing made you know, made my cousin's life forever. Like they still talk about that to this day.
Yes.
And like I just always saw my dad giving.
Yes.
That's all I saw them doing. So like I really took that from him, you know.
Yes.
But I never, I just took that from him for sure.
Do you feel like when you chose you lost anything? Because I feel like that's our biggest fear, especially in business. It's like, man, if I take the foot off the pedal, what do I lose? Like, did you lose anything by choosing you?
Good question.
Yeah, great question. I think time will tell. I don't have a clear process. Yeah, I don't have a clear response for that right now. I would say that the company I keep has changed dynamically. And so you miss some of those relationships, but then you ask yourself, you know, were those relationships really advocating and encouraging me to be this person and this version that I know I am, that I'm capable of becoming? And so again, it goes back to kind of editing the people in your life through a consistent audit of your circles. You know,
I feel like I heard it. Ain't that a slogan? Audit your circle.
Yeah,
a lot of people say it. Yeah, nothing I say will be unique to me.
So we was talking about, I know you wanted to talk about like bullying.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is your definition of a bully in your world, in the business world?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, you know, and it wasn't so much about the desire about really unpacking bullying, but it's this concept that it's so much easier and healthier to be nice and be kind. It takes so much less effort to just say hello.
It does.
I stopped at the 7-Eleven on the way here, right down the street, and there were about 10 guys that were in a biker club, you know, really nice motorcycles. And I get out of my car, and man, I'm wearing like fuchsia jeans and my electric TMD Energy crew neck, and it's like, man, this is a strange cat, right? That's probably what they were thinking. And I just said, what's up to them, man? And I was like, man, that's a sweet bike, and that's a real nice helmet. You guys be safe out there, right? And all of a sudden, 7 of them say, what's up? Because what I was thinking about in that moment was, I wonder how many people have walked past them. They're here in the parking lot. They're hanging out. They're just, you know, enjoying community with each other. they look tough. They're on bikes. They're all padded up. They got helmets on. They got sunglasses on. I'm like, who's the last person that was just like, I'm going to say, what's up? I'm going to say, hey, you know, and they smiled and laughed, and then they said hello, and I smiled and laughed, and I felt so much better having had that moment and that experience. And I guess I just wonder, how many times are we, you know, in the hustle and bustle of life, are we going around ignoring opportunities to pour into other people and kind of just lift their moment in their day for a second by saying hello, by paying a compliment? You know, last time I checked, compliments are free to give. They're absolutely free to give. I have never been charged. I've never gotten an invoice in the mail saying, hey, you know, you gave 7 compliments last Sunday in Birmingham, Michigan, so here's your invoice. I've gotten parking tickets that way, but I've never gotten a bill for compliments. And we're not out spraying those. Why? It's just so much simpler to do that. And when people are negative or pass judgment or bully, in whatever version of bullying someone might believe in, you know, it's typically just coming from a place of pain and suffering. You know, and so, you know, what do we need to do when someone is doing that? I mean, what we need to do, or what we may want to do, is put our arm around them and say, hey, man, I see you, man. Like, how are you? Like, truly, how are you? You know, and take a second to check in to see how someone really is. Because most of the negative things I've ever seen, when I've known the person well, I've known that they're suffering or struggling with something in that moment when that happens. And I say that from my own experience, from getting defensive or, you know, being reactive to constructive feedback or input from somebody that loves me and just knows I could be better. Right. Yeah, I get defensive, right? And then I start pointing a finger. Then I start to get negative.
Yeah, been there.
That's just because I'm suffering. You know? So this thing about bullying, I really just, it's almost like I just reframe it. I don't necessarily talk about bullying, but I do talk about the fact that it's so much simpler and easier to be kind to people, to pay compliments, to say please and thank you, to say excuse me, to ask somebody how their day is and actually turn your feet to them so that they know, like, no, I'm going to stop and see how your day is, right? And I think we could all just use a little bit more of that.
So today is election day, right?
Yeah.
My question is, do you feel like wealth plays a part in your decision making of who you vote for, like the type of money you make?
Yeah, no, no.
Wow.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think that we are all stewards of the space we occupy on Earth.
Okay.
We're all stewards.
I agree.
It takes all of us accepting some responsibility for being a steward of the space we occupy. So, you know, you asked me about the Pistons, right? And I quickly responded like, oh, I'm from Chicago. Bro. You know, it's like, dude, you've been here 7 years, man. You've been paying taxes in Michigan 7 years. You're a Michigander, right? But, you know, people, they laugh because I root for the Pistons and the Lions now. And even though I'm a diehard Chicago Bears fan. And I'm like, wait, why am I going to hate the Lions? I'm raising my children here.
Yeah.
I'm making a living in this state.
Yeah.
If this state loves the Detroit Lions, my family will love and respect the Detroit Lions.
They were talking about down 97 won a ticket. If you move to another state and if you're there for a period of time, do you become that team? Like, does that become your new team? You know?
No.
Come on.
No. That'd be like, well.
Or you start celebrating
them.
them.
You know, my parents left Mexico, so therefore I am not Mexican. No, man, I'm still Mexican. You know, sports is like you know, ethnicity, man. You can't shake that.
No, you can't.
You know.
So you played college sports. What sports did you play at college?
Yeah, I was a very mediocre Division III college athlete. I played rugby for a couple years, football for a couple years.
That's a real
and
man
track
sport.
for a couple of years. Yeah.
Rugby, you got that. That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be wanting to play it, but that's a real man sport. You gotta be crazy to play that.
Yeah. College was fun, and you were an athlete.
Yes. I played at Central State University. So, so it was fun. I played tight end.
Love it.
Yeah. So
that's it.
Yeah. I miss it.
Yeah, you got the size for that, man.
Yeah, I miss it so much. The stuff I know now, I wish I knew back then. Like confidence. I feel like that's one thing that lacks in our communities. We see a lot of great athletes come from the low end communities, but it's a lot of them left that doesn't grab that confidence. So I feel like that's one thing. That's one of my purpose to help the next generation is build confidence.
So why do you think that challenged communities and neighborhoods, statistically speaking, produce such great athleticism?
Because they go through a lot of pressure, a lot of storms.
I was just about to say
that. And then it's easy for them to use that pain to put into something. So we're going to put this ball in your hand like Dereck Rose.
You can tell when somebody's fighting for their life and somebody's fighting to, for accolades, fighting for the cheers, and somebody's literally fighting and playing for their life. Like I said, I used to play football. And you can feel the energy of a player hitting your helmet. And it's like, no, he not just playing this game. Like, he wants to kill me because he want to take care of mama. Yeah. So he if I got to run through you to take care of my, like, he's trying to kill me. And I couldn't.
That's Dereck Rose. You seen that.
Exactly.
That's Dereck Rose.
Well, so yeah, and I love that you said that, right? I think about it, and there's a handful of athletes that are very dear friends of mine. That there's a variety of stories there, but there is a meaningful density, if you will, of stories that are, well, I've been working since I was a child. I've been taking care of myself in certain aspects of my life since I was young. Basketball, baseball, running in the neighborhood. That was the outlet. And that was the option. There was no, a ton of field trips or vacations or, traveling during the summer or spring break. I think about my brothers and I chuckle about it now, but maybe when I was younger, it was difficult and it was painful, right? I mean, I remember 2 vacations of my entire childhood, 2. And I don't remember spring break. People say spring break now. My children have spring break and they're leaving the country and going to Miami and, traveling all over the place. It's like spring break. We grew up, spring break was, dude, I get to run around the streets of Hammond for a week.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in training, and so.
You outside.
Yeah, I think there's there's almost like this beautiful thing in the lack of options that exists where, young men and women, it's like, what is the greatest thing that they do have access to no matter what level you are on the socioeconomic ladder? Sports. Sports. Everyone can play sports.
Do you use sports in your business ventures? Like the strategies or the type of mentality?
Yeah, I mean, I use a sports analogy for almost everything we do, and serving as steward and team captain to our firm today. I use, we have our weekly director huddle every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That was today. I probably used 7 sports analogies in that meeting. I think sports is one of the greatest teachers of how to just be of value and be a great teammate in life. I mean, think about that. Everyone's playing days will end, right? Everyone's playing days end. And at that point, think of the gift of having learned how to be an incredible teammate and high performer. You can, if you channel that, you can channel that into a lot of different ways to be very successful in the world of business, whether it's selling a service or selling a product. As you mentioned before, right? What you're teaching the young men and women in school today, which is an invaluable gift, right? Whether you sell a service or a product, if you're a hard worker, have a ton of discipline, you're coachable, you're a grinder, you're a great teammate, you show up and you honor your commitments, you could be very wildly successful in the world of business.
Yes, you will.
Doing anything.
Coachable. We always talk about that to the students. I tell them all the time, man, I need you to be coachable, man.
Yeah.
A lot of them, want to have attitudes. No, we need you to be coachable. Just
right?
coachable.
God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Dang.
Watching your show, and it's crazy that you mentioned earlier about Demetrius, because the first time I watched your podcast was probably 2 years ago or something like that. When we first had Demetrius on, I do a deep dive into all the guests, watching all the interviews, and I did come across your show way back then because I watched it through and through just to get some good questions about his life, just listening to him. But some of your favorite episodes that you do on the show that is the ones that you did with your wife. It's like a different side of you that comes out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that as well. But since we're on the topic of sports, one of my favorite episodes that you did was with Matt Ishba, and
Sure.
you guys was talking about how, you know, you start off the day and how he starts off his day with the workout. How do you feel like successful people start off their day? Is there some commonality between how successful people start off your day? I mean,
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's a great question. So I've met a lot of successful people that have this very specific morning routine, and it's almost like this 60 to 90 minute buildup before they go savagely attack their business ventures. And then I've met this other bucket of successful people who say, bro, I get up, I pray, I take my lemon water, I read for 10 minutes or look at my schedule, and then I just get at it. And I'll work out at night, or sometimes I work out at lunch, or sometimes, but you know, the one common thing that I've seen is all successful people work from an intentional calendar, period. They work from an intentional calendar. So when they say, this is what I'm doing at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., that's what they're doing. So whether you think that the morning routine needs to be 60, 90 minutes of 5 to 6 things, or the morning routine is 25 minutes of 3 things and I'm at the grind like a savage, the bottom line is that they're all pretty much working from very intentional calendars. Number 2, after the intentional calendar, they're all excellent at saying no thank you.
That's man.
No thank you.
To what? To things that
To just things.
Yeah.
Man, it doesn't fit my purpose.
Man.
It doesn't fit what I said I would do today. No thank you. It's funny, at the firm, years ago, people would say, hey, you want to grab lunch? No thank you. I get lunch is outside my door. I eat it in like 10 minutes, probably why I'm unhealthy. I'm not sure I'm chewing it properly. But I'm just back to what I said I would do. It's rare that I would say, oh, I'm going to take a half hour for lunch today. Unless I'm breaking bread with someone intentionally, you know, it's what does the calendar say? And I'm meticulous about what gets on the calendar now. And better than I've ever, this is the best I've ever been in my relationship with my calendar in my entire life right now.
So when you first started having children, how was it putting them in during your work schedule?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, great question, right? And this is where, you know, we got to, you know, you can't be the truth if you don't speak the truth. Yeah. I was terrible for the first 10 years of my child's lives. And that's just, you know, something that it's not easy for me to say, but it's something that must be said because it's fact. It's not that I wasn't with my children. It's that I was so obsessed with the end destination of providing for my family in a way so that they would never lack one thing, the power of choice. I never wanted them to lack the power of choice as it related to their education, to their physical health, to having a roof over their head, or to being able to compete in sports. And so I always said, like, if I can take care of the shelter, the health, the education, and the competition, and provide enough resources so that they always have the power of choice, and I protect, so provide and protect, then I'm doing my manly job, right? That's the man's job.
Yeah.
Well, you know, all of a sudden you got a 10-year-old that doesn't really know what daddy likes. Have you been doing your job? I don't know. Some are going to say yes. Some are going to say no. I'm going to say no. It wasn't until COVID that I started giving myself the privilege and the gift of driving my children to school every single day I wake up in the state of Michigan. So if I'm not traveling, I drive Ava and Atlas to school every day. Why? Because I finally learned, I'm seeing people die in my neighborhood. I'm like, what? I don't even know the gift, the daily gift
I'm seeing your child
of taking my children off to school and asking them about their day and what they're most excited about and teasing them and cracking jokes. I'm like, man, right? So I think, you know, for that matter, I think COVID was a wake-up call for a lot of us, right, in different ways. But, you know, those first 10 years, those were tough. all praise goes to Samantha, my incredible wife, who's just, she's the top G for Ava and Alice. Like, she is exactly the mother they deserved. God did that on purpose. And they are blessed and privileged to have her as their mother. And man, she did all the jobs, because I was out there thinking that my responsibility was to provide.
Right, yeah.
And
how do we get away from, our mission is as men to provide, but how do we get away from just want to do that, just want to work. Hey, I need to make the money, so, y'all ain't got to worry about nothing. Like, how do we get away from that? Because I have a daughter myself, and she's 2.
And what's her name?
Cree. Yes, Cree Parker Davis.
That's it.
Yeah, so she's 2 years old. I see her a lot, but now, like we was talking about earlier, I'm getting in grind mode. Like, I just want to, pick up extra money, just so I can invest in things that I'm learning and looking into. So, like, as men, how do we get I guess balance it in a way? How do we balance it and not hinder our children, but also hinder our relationship?
Well, I still think that time is our greatest asset. That is consistently being lost, right? So, time is something that is running out on us in every single moment of every single day. Time, right? And we're not going to be able to create more of it. Okay, I believe in fate. I believe in destiny. I believe in God's plan. And so, having said that, it goes back to what you were asking earlier. And I said, I think the most successful and happiest, the most happy and fulfilled people in life that are a success in business or sports are people working from an intentional calendar. And so I think choosing what quality time looks like and putting some guardrails around that, hey, I'm going to have 15 minutes of FaceTime with her every day, no matter what. And it's going to happen every day. It's going to be scheduled every day. I'm going to honor it every day, and I'm never going to not have that time with her. Or I'm going to, be with her these 3 days a week, or I'm going to provide in this way on a weekly, monthly basis. This is the interaction, and it's going to be scheduled, and because it's scheduled, it will be honored. And I will say no to everything else that comes along, because that is not more important to me than the time with her. I think that's the first step. And deciding what that could look and feel like for you is priority number one. And I will tell you, Spank, just because in getting to know you, like, I can already feel your vibe and your energy, and we'd get along. I think so. I don't.
No, I like you. That way. I like you a lot, sir.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you have to feel that way, but I feel that way. And so what I would say is, if you came to me, if I saw you living your life that way with Cree, if I saw you living that out, and then you came to me and needed something, I'm much more inclined to be like, I got you.
Yeah, because I'm really about to apply what you're talking about when I get home. I'm really about to go redo my schedule. Literally, I'm about to really go home with my partner, with baby. I'm about to go home. Like, I'm in there thinking about it right now. Like, you're right. The calendar is important. That schedule is very important, because I work out every morning at 5 o'clock. And if I wake up at 5:20, I'm pissed, because now my time got shortened. I got to be at work at 7:40, and it takes me 25 minutes to get to work. So I won't get a hard workout as I get if I wake up at 4:45, 4:30 to get there at the gym at 5 on time. So that schedule thing is real.
Well, I mean, again, it would go back to just what my experience has been with the most successful, happiest, most fulfilled people that I've met along my life's journey. They have been people who have worked from a very disciplined, intentional calendar, and they've been masterful at the graceful no thank you. They've just been masterful with it,
My last question, I wanted to ask you, if you could give one thing extra to the world, if the world could have more of one thing, what would you think the world could do better if they had more of one thing?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, I think a relationship with the faith, right? No matter what faith that is. I think there's something about whatever faith we have, when we are closer to it, we're closer to being the most purposeful, fulfilled, and happiest. And when we are that improves the environment and the experiences of everyone around us. And it goes back to, what we talked about a little bit today, which is, sometimes people don't mean the ways they hurt us, but but they're going through something. And so who am I to be like,
The judge.
yeah, it's not my place to call you out about it, but it is up to me to decide if I want to check in on you. And so I think the more often that we are walking in what our true beliefs are for this life and after, I think the better we're showing up for everyone around us. And man, you know, it's really hard to hate somebody when you're full of gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever met a thankful person that's angry? I haven't. I mean, I've been angry and I wasn't feeling thankful in that moment.
Facts.
Right? But man, when I'm feeling thankful like I am today, there's nothing I'm angry about. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the ability for people to find their connection with the world and whatever that looks like, I think is what I'd want for people, you know.
I love that.
What's
Gratitude.
the financial advice you would give someone right now? The best of financial advice you would give someone.
Oh man. I think find a financial advocate.
Mm.
You know, I couldn't deal with my traumas without a therapist. I couldn't be a good father without a wife.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be a good teammate without the upbringing and the brothers that I've been blessed with. And so I wouldn't be in the gym 5 days a week right now without Mo. And so it's just being aware of the fact that the most difficult yet significant things we may want to achieve in life require us to surround ourselves with people who believe in what we said we would do and will serve as an advocate. Okay? And just remember, an advocate is someone who believes in your beliefs as much as you do, who opens doors for you without being asked, who makes time for you when you do ask, and who sends you flowers and praises your name and your existence in rooms you will never be in. If you're not doing those things, you're not somebody's advocate. You're full of shit. But if you're doing that, that's an advocate. And I think in the world of achieving our financial dreams and living a life in the greatest country on the planet, it's an absolute God-given right to live a life of financial security, stability, and success. And for people to do that, all this self-help stuff, yeah, it's good. It's a step forward. But finding a financial advocate in a relationship with somebody who's bought in as much on your dreams as you are, I think that's critical.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank God for my mentor. Shout out to Colin Johnson.
That's it. Shout out to Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
Shout out to TK Coleman, my mentor. I wanted to ask you real quick if you could shout out your podcast once again so they can know where they can tune into you every week.
Thanks so much. And again, it was an absolute privilege and gift to be with you. My podcast is At the Podium Podcast with Manuel Amezcua. It started off as kind of just a fun thing to do with clients after, you know, we went over their planning work and just say, hey, let's go for 30 minutes and just talk about the things that, you know, we're loving about life and our journeys. And it's turned into something that people have enjoyed listening to their stories. A lot of high performers, and they're dropping gold every single time that they're on the show. And it's just a privilege to have that as well.
Make sure y'all tune in. It's a great podcast. I love that episode, that recent episode you did with Dwayne Casey. Very, very, very great episode. I was like, man, just insight into just being a people's person, learning how to work with the people. You know, just like coaches, they just have a different mindset, man.
Yeah, they do.
Man, he's a gift in this world. Shout out to Coach Casey for sure. Glad you saw that.
Man. Make sure y'all tune in to Breaking the Machine next week. We got a lot of great episodes coming out, man. Manuel Amezcua, Spank the Bank, Ahmad the Poet. This has been another episode of Breaking the Machine.
Make sure you like, subscribe.
Yes, like, subscribe.
Make sure you like, subscribe. Leave the comments.
That's it.
Do it all. You dig. What up, dog?